I step into my bedroom and freeze. My heart stutters to a full stop, then lurches into a frantic rhythm. Jazelle stands before my full-length mirror, her slender figure draped in ivory satin that catches the afternoon light streaming through my bedroom window. My wedding after-party dress. The one I spent 3 months searching for. The one that made James's eyes light up when I showed him the designer sketch. My grandmother's diamond earrings dangle, from her ears catching prismatic light with every slight movement of her head. The heirlooms meant for me, the ones Grandma Rose promised would be mine on my wedding day. Jazelle tilts her head, admiring her reflection, completely oblivious to my presence. The ivory satin cascades over her shoulders like it was made for her because it was made for me. "What are you doing with my wedding dress?" My voice barely rises above a whisper, but it carries enough force to make Jazelle turn. Instead of guilt, her expression brightens. "Helena, perfect timing." She runs her hands down the fabric. "It looks better on me anyway." Mom agrees. The words hit me like a physical blow. Behind me, a floorboard cracks. I turn to find my parents hovering in the doorway. Their expressions a mixture of discomfort and determination. They knew. Of course they knew. "Honey." Mom steps forward, her voice taking on that placating tone I know too well. "You'll have the main wedding gown. Can't you share just this once?" Dad nods, waving his hand dismissively. "Your sister has always looked stunning in white." Their words unlock a flood of memories. Jazelle borrowing my designer shoes for a date, returning them scuffed beyond repair. My vintage purse coming back with makeup stains embedded in the leather. The cashmere sweater I saved 3 paychecks to buy, stretched beyond recognition after her weekend trip. Family comes. First, I told myself each time, swallowing my objections, burying my resentment. Last winter flashes before me. The outfit I'd carefully styled for Senator Graham's daughter, the client who could have launched my styling career into the stratosphere. Jazelle borrowing the ensemble for just an hour before I delivered it. The red wine stains spreading across the custom jacket like a wound. This is strike one, my boss had warned, eyes cold with professional disappointment, when I confronted my parents. Their response was swift. "Accidents happen. She's your sister." I stand straighter now, shoulders pulling back. Something inside me shifts like tectonic plates realigning after years of pressure. Not this time. The words come out clear and steady. "Take it off." Silence fills the room thick enough to choke on. Jazelle's lips part in shock, her eyes widening with the unfamiliar sensation of being denied. "You can't be serious." She laughs, but it sounds hollow even to her ears. Mom, tell her she's being ridiculous. Mom steps toward me, hands outstretched in supplication. "Helena, sweetie, there's no need for drama. Jazelle just wants to feel special too. Take it off." I repeat, my voice dropping lower. "Now, or I call off the wedding." The threat hangs in the air between us. Dad's face flushes crimson, but something in my expression stops whatever rebuke was forming on his lips. "Fine." Jazelle spits the word. "I didn't want your stupid dress anyway." Her fingers fumble with the delicate zipper. Her movements deliberately rough. I step forward and catch her wrist before she can damage the fabric. "The earrings too," I say quietly. With exaggerated care, she removes my grandmother's earrings, dropping them into my palm with enough force to make a statement. The diamonds burn cold against my skin. Later, after Jazelle has flounced from my room in theatrical outrage, I hang the dress in my closet. My parents' cold glares follow me, promising consequences for this rebellion. I run my fingers over the smooth fabric, heart still pounding. For 27 years I've stepped aside, made room, kept peace, the good daughter, the responsible one, the one who understands. Looking at the dress, my dress. I make a silent promise. Not anymore. They've taken enough. This wedding will be mine, and God help anyone who tries to steal another piece of me. The following day, James drops his notebook on our coffee table and rubs his temples. "So that's it. We've decided on the honey lavender cake with buttercream frosting." I nod, leaning back into our sofa. After weeks of tastings and disagreements, we finally locked down the last major wedding decision. James reaches for my hand, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. 3 more weeks, Helena. Just 3 more weeks until you're Mrs. Helena Wells. The doorbell chimes before I can respond. I check my phone. No scheduled visits. James raises an eyebrow but rises to answer it. My parents' voices float from the entryway. My mother's rapid-fire questions about our new sofa slicing through the peaceful afternoon. They didn't call. They never call. They just appear like unwelcome spirits summoned by wedding planning. We brought the family wedding planner, Mom announces, swooping into our living room. She clutches a leather-bound binder that I've never seen before. Dad follows his eyes, darting around our apartment, mentally calculating what we paid for everything. We've made some adjustments. Mom continues spreading the binder across our coffee table, covering our own notes. Just small tweaks to make everything perfect. James catches my eye as he settles beside me. His fingers find mine again, squeezing gently. Mom flips to a page labeled Bridal Party and points to a new notation I've never seen. We've added Jazelle as co-bride with a matching white gown and coordinating jewelry. Note: the room tilts sideways. Co-bride. James leans forward. There's no such thing as a co-bride. It's our wedding. Mom waves her hand dismissively. It's a new trend. Very European. It's not a trend, I say, my voice steadier than I feel. And it's not happening. And it's not happening. Dad clears his throat. Helena, be reasonable. Your sister has been looking forward to this. Looking forward to what, my wedding? The words scrape my throat. To sharing this special day, Mom corrects her smile, tightening at the corners. After they leave with promises to discuss this further, I sit at our laptop and check my email. Something feels wrong. I type wedding in the search bar and watch as dozens of exchanges between my mother and our venue appear. Emails where I was not copied. James, I call my voice, barely audible. You need to see this. He reads over my shoulder, his breath catching. Special instructions to the venue coordinator about highlighting both sisters equally. Detailed arrangements for balanced photo opportunities. A request for 2 bridal suites. My phone buzzes with a notification. Jazelle has tagged me in an Instagram post. My stomach clenches as I open it. There she stands in my after-party dress, now altered slightly with the caption, "Final fitting for my wedding look. Sister ceremony, double the brides." The comments flood with confused congratulations. Didn't know you were engaged too. What's a sister ceremony? So cool. You're both getting married. My phone rings. Aunt Catherine from Virginia. Helena, honey, your mother just told me about this unusual sister ceremony. Is this something you really want? The room spins as I try to explain that none of this was my idea. More calls follow. Family friends, distant relatives, all confused, all asking the same question. Why am I making my sister a co-bride when I confront my mother by phone? Her voice drips with practiced martyrdom. You've always been the strong one, Helena. Jazelle needs this. She's been so depressed since that breakup last year. My father's voice cuts in on the extension. We're paying for half this wedding. We have a say in how it unfolds. More calls, more pressure. Uncle Robert suggesting I be the bigger person. Cousin Samantha, wondering if I'm being a bit selfish. Each conversation feels like water rising around my neck. Only Aunt Martha tells me the truth when she visits the next day, her voice low as she glances toward the door. They've been planning this since you announced your engagement. Your mother had Jazelle's dress ordered the same week you ordered yours. I press my hands against our kitchen counter, feeling the cool granite anchor me. How do you know? This I overheard them at Christmas. Your mother said it would be easier to ask forgiveness than permission. Martha squeezes my arm. I should have told you sooner. That evening I visit Grandma Rose at her assisted living facility. Unlike my parents' sprawling house, her small apartment feels like a sanctuary. This is your day, Helena, she says, her arthritic fingers covering mine. No one else's, not your sister's, not your mother's. When I return home, James has spreadsheets open on our laptop. We can pay for it ourselves, he says without looking up. I've run the numbers 3 ways. We can make it work. Sarah. My maid of honor arrives with a bottle of wine and her legal pad. I'm documenting everything she announces, flipping to a detailed timeline of every boundary violation in case things get ugly. My phone rings again, my boss this time. I almost let it go to voicemail, but something makes me answer. Helena, he says, his voice uncharacteristically gentle. One of our clients mentioned your double wedding. Want to tell me what's happening? I explain in halting sentences, expecting professional concern about how this might affect our business relationships. Instead, he surprises me. Your sister cost us that Senator Graham campaign, he says flatly. Don't let her cost you your wedding, too. That night, my parents deliver their ultimatum via text. Include Jazelle as co-bride or lose their financial support. The message contains thinly veiled reminders about Grandma Rose's care and how family reputation affects my professional standing. I stand at our bedroom window staring at the city lights below. James wraps his arms around me from behind. This isn't just about a dress anymore, I whisper. This is about my entire life. 2 days after finding the messages, my phone screen illuminates with another notification. Jazelle's tearful face fills the local morning show segment. All I wanted was to share in my sister's special day. The host nods sympathetically, and she refused to let you wear the dress. She threatened to cancel the entire wedding. Jazelle dabs at her eyes with a tissue. After everything our family has done for her, I slam my coffee mug down so hard. Liquid sloshes onto my kitchen counter. The morning show host doesn't mention how Jazelle tried on my dress without permission, how she's borrowed and ruined my things for 27 years, or how this wedding is supposed to be about James and me, not her. Within hours, share with sister trends on local social media. My cousin Denise texts, "Is it really such a big deal? Family should come first." My phone rings. Aunt Carol, who hasn't called me in 3 years. "Helena, I raised you better than this. Your mother is heartbroken." I grip the phone tighter. Did Mom mention she tried to make Jazelle a co-bride? Don't be dramatic. She just wants both her daughters to shine. The doorbell rings. A delivery man hands me a stack of letters from my parents' church congregation. The top envelope, already opened, contains a handwritten note. Honor thy father and mother. I drop the pile into the recycling bin. Monday morning at the studio. I arrange outfits for Valerie Torres, an influencer with 2 million followers. My concentration fractures with each phone vibration. 12. Texts from Mom 7, from Dad 23, from Gazelle. Is everything okay? Valerie asks, studying my face as I adjust her collar. You seem distracted. Everything's fine. I lie pinning the hem of her dress. I saw that news segment with your sister. Valerie tilts her head. Wedding drama, right? My followers are talking about it. My hands freeze mid-pin. My private life, my professional space, the boundaries blurring like watercolors in rain. It's complicated. I manage. After Valerie leaves, Diana, my boss, calls me into her office. The morning segment plays silently on her computer screen. This needs to stay out of the studio, she says, gesturing toward the footage. Clients come to us for perfection, not family soap operas. Keep it together or take a leave of absence. I nod throat tight. It won't be an issue. Tuesday evening, I drive to Grandmother Rose's cottage in Pasadena. The familiar scent of cinnamon and old books wraps around me as I step inside. Her walls display family photos spanning decades, including one of my mother and her sister at a wedding standing uncomfortably apart. You look exhausted, my dear. Grandmother Rose guides me to her worn floral sofa. The tears come without warning. They're making me the villain. Jazelle went on television. The church congregation sent letters. My boss threatened my job. She holds my hand, her skin paper thin, but her grip surprisingly strong. Your mother did the same to her sister. I look up startled. What at Louise's wedding? Your mother wore white, insisted on standing next to the bride in photos, demanded matching flowers. When Louise objected, your grandpa sided with your mother. She sighed. They haven't spoken in 30 years. I didn't know. I mean, too. Some patterns need to be broken, dear. Someone has to be brave enough. She squeezes my fingers. And you've always been the strong one. Grandmother Rose stands, slowly her knees creaking. I have something that might help you. She leads me to her bedroom where a cedar chest sits at the foot of her bed. The hinges protest as she lifts the lid. Inside, beneath a crocheted blanket, lies a stack of legal documents. What are these? I ask, taking the folder she hands me. Look at the house deed first. I scan the document, my eyes catching on my own name next to hers. I'm a co-owner of your house. She nods. Since your 25th birthday. The next document shows the family trust. My name appears prominently as executive of my grandmother's estate. Grandma. I don't understand. I've been watching this happen for years, she says simply. Your parents have always allowed Jazelle to take what's yours. I wanted to make sure they couldn't take everything. The weight of what she's telling me settles on my shoulders. You've been protecting me all this time. Now you can protect yourself. The next morning I meet Tasha, a wedding planner not connected to my mother's social circle. Her office walls display photos of unique celebrations, none featuring matching sister gowns. Tell me what you want, she says, emphasizing the word. For the first time since my engagement, someone asks what I want instead of telling me what I should accommodate. Security, I say immediately. People who will enforce the guest list and keep certain family members from disrupting things. Tasha doesn't blink. We can arrange that. That afternoon, James's college roommate Marcus, now an IT security consultant, helps me change every password connected to our wedding vendor account's venue booking photography portal. Your family won't be able to make unauthorized changes. He promises typing rapidly. I've added two-factor authentication to everything. I call the venue directly, speaking with the manager instead of the coordinator my mother befriended. I'm the bride, the only bride. I clarify. Any changes must come directly from me or my fiancé. No exceptions. Understood, Miss Carter. We'll update our files immediately. The satisfaction of reclaiming my wedding spreads through me like warmth after winter. I transfer funds from my savings account to cover my parents' portion of the costs. The confirmation email arrives with a finality that feels like freedom. That night I sleep in our apartment with my phone turned off. No texts, demanding explanations, no calls filled with guilt, no social media notifications about family loyalty. James finds me on the balcony the next morning watching the sunrise with a cup of coffee. You look different, he says, joining me. I feel different. For the first time in weeks, my shoulders don't carry the familiar tension. The knot in my stomach has loosened. I've spent my life trying to keep peace by giving pieces of myself away. Now I'm gathering those pieces back, one boundary at a time. Some might call it selfish. I call it survival. Later that week, after I thoroughly checked every part of the plan, I met my family for dinner. It's time to begin. You were right, I tell my mother, watching her shoulders relax as she serves another helping of pot roast. Family should come first. The dining room falls into stunned silence. Dad's fork pauses halfway to his mouth. Jazelle, sitting across from me, narrows her eyes in suspicion before a slow smile spreads across her face. I knew you'd come around, Mom says, patting my hand. The diamond on her wedding band catches the light, reminding me of Grandma Rose's earrings. We all want your wedding to be perfect. For everyone, Dad adds pointedly, reaching for his wine glass. I nod, swallowing the bitter taste in my mouth. Actually, I was thinking Jazelle might want to try on the after-party dress. One more time for proper measurements. Jazelle nearly knocks over her water glass. Really? Really, I confirm, pulling my phone from my purse. Maybe we could take some photos for the memory book. Later, as Jazelle twirls in my bedroom, I snap photo after photo. The ivory satin flows around her ankles as she poses dramatically beside my dressing table. Mom hovers nearby, her smile triumphant. The earrings dangle from Giselle's ears, catching prismatic light with each movement. These photos will be treasured forever, Mom says, squeezing my arm. I smile, clicking one final shot. Yes, they will. While they chatter about shoe options, I step into the hallway, thumb moving swiftly over my phone screen. The carefully crafted email sends with a quiet whoosh. My chest loosens for the first time in weeks. The next morning, my social media post goes live at precisely 8:00 a.m., when Dad starts his workday and Mom checks her accounts over coffee. "A bride deserves respect," reads the caption. Below it, a gallery unfolds. My designer shoes before Jazelle borrowed them, then after scuffed beyond repair. My vintage purse, once pristine, now stained with makeup. My cashmere sweater stretched beyond recognition. And finally, Jazelle wearing my wedding after-party dress and grandmother's earrings. The comments flood in immediately. My professional colleagues rally with supportive messages and a hashtag that starts trending by noon. Bride not bullied. My phone begins vibrating nonstop. I silence it, sliding it into my desk drawer at work. My boss passes by, glancing at my computer screen where the post continues gathering momentum. "About time," she says simply and walks away. By lunch, 3 wedding vendors have publicly confirmed they will only take instructions from the actual bride, Helena Carter. My mother has called 17 times. I send each call to voicemail. "What are you doing?" James asks when I arrive at the bank that afternoon. His voice holds no judgment, only curiosity. "Reclaiming what's mine." I answer, squeezing his hand before approaching the bank manager's desk. I spread the documentation across the polished surface. Receipt copies, transfer records, email confirmations, evidence of every dollar I contributed to our wedding fund, which my parents conveniently control. These payments were made under false pretenses. I explain calmly. "I'd like them refunded to this account instead." The manager reviews the paperwork, nodding slowly. "Everything appears in order, Miss Carter." James watches in quiet amazement as the manager processes the transfers. 20 minutes later, we walk out with financial leverage eliminated. My parents can no longer threaten to withhold funds they no longer control. I record a brief message on my parents' answering machine. "I've handled the payments. The wedding will proceed as James and I planned it. The dress disappearance is my final move. I know Jazelle's schedule by heart. 27 years of accommodating her has its advantages. While she's at her hair appointment, I empty my closet of everything wedding-related." My phone buzzes with Jazelle's name. 30 minutes later. "Where is it?" Her voice trembles with rage. Mom and Dad are furious. I imagine they are. I fold the ivory dress carefully into a acid-free box at my grandmother's house, miles away from prying hands. "You can't do this." Jazelle shrugs. "That dress looked better on me anyway." Some things aren't meant to be shared. I place Grandma Rose's earrings in their velvet case beside the dress, especially when they were never yours to begin with. I end the call amid her protests, powering off my phone completely. Grandmother watches from her armchair, a small smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "They'll be livid," she says, not sounding troubled by the prospect. "Let them be." I close the lid on the running my fingers over the smooth surface. They've had control of my narrative for 27 years. The wedding is mine. Grandmother nods, reaching for my hand. "And so finally are you?" On the wedding day, I arrive at the venue 3 hours before the ceremony, to find chaos already brewing. Through the glass doors, I spot Mom gesturing dramatically to the venue coordinator. While Dad waves what looks like our contract in the air, Jazelle stands slightly behind them, draped in a white dress, suspiciously similar to my wedding gown. We had an understanding about the sister ceremony. Mom insists, her voice carrying across the marble foyer. "It's a family tradition." The venue coordinator looks baffled. "Ma'am, there's nothing in our paperwork about 2 brides. It's a verbal agreement." Dad blusters. "We could pursue legal action for breach of contract." I grip James's hand tighter as we watch through the window. His college roommates, our impromptu security team, stand at strategic points around the entrance, looking both professional and immovable in their suits. "Ready?" James asks, squeezing my fingers. I nod more than ever. When we enter, Mom's face pales. Jazelle's mouth forms a perfect O of surprise. They didn't expect me for another hour. Plenty of time to rearrange my wedding. Miss Carter. Coordinator rushes over relief washing across her face. Perhaps you can clarify. There is no sister ceremony. I say loud enough for the small crowd of workers to hear. My parents and sister are confused. I turn to Marcus James's former linebacker friend, now working security. Please ensure they stay in the designated family area until the ceremony. They're not authorized to make changes to any arrangements. Dad's face flushes crimson. You can't. I can. I interrupt, my voice steady. And I am. 2 hours later, I stand in the bridal suite with Grandma Rose adjusting my veil. My wedding gown, the main one, not the reception dress. Jazelle tried to claim cascades around me in waves of delicate lace. You look magnificent. Grandma says, her fingers trembling slightly as she secures the veil with a vintage pearl pin. Strong. Sarah, my maid of honor, returns from scouting the ceremony space. Your parents got the message. They're sitting in the front row looking like they've swallowed lemons. She grins, and Jazelle keeps trying to make her dress look more bridal by adding flowers from the centerpieces. I should feel nervous, but a strange calm has settled over me. Let's do this. The processional music swells as I take Grandma's arm. We plan this carefully. No father walking me down the aisle. Instead, the woman who showed me what real support means guides me toward my future. As we enter, I hear the celebrant's voice ring clear. Today we gather to witness the union of Helena and James only. She places deliberate emphasis on the final word, making several guests shift uncomfortably. Mom's smile looks brittle. Dad stares straight ahead. Jazelle fidgets with her costume jewelry, a poor imitation of Grandma's diamonds, currently nestled in my bridal suite safe. I lock eyes with James and never look away. His smile becomes my anchor as I glide past the family that tried to steal even this moment. The reception begins with delicious tension as I emerge from the bridal suite in my ivory satin after-party dress, the one from the ambush. Grandma's diamond earrings catch the chandelier light with every movement of my head. The symmetry feels perfect. You reclaimed it, Grandma whispers, adjusting one earring. Everything, I confirm. Jazelle sits at the family table, her expression fluctuating between outrage and calculation. Mom's anger shows in her white-knuckled grip on her champagne glass. The photographer captures it all, immortalizing their displeasure alongside my joy. When it's time for toasts, I rise first. To those who truly support us and respect our boundaries. I say, raising my glass toward Grandma, then James, then Sarah, notably absent from my gesture, the front family table. The party flows perfectly until I spot Jazelle sidling toward the DJ booth. Mom follows close behind, whispering urgently to the wedding planner, who shakes her head firmly. Special sister toast. I hear Mom insist. It's traditional. Before Jazelle can grab the microphone, James's best man intercepts her with practiced ease. The bride's playlist is quite specific, he says pleasantly, steering her away. I cross the dance floor, stopping directly in front of my sister. Not today, I tell her quietly. Not ever again. Her eyes widen for once. She seems to understand I mean it. 20 minutes later, Dad corners me near the cake table. We need to talk now. I follow my parents into a small side room, where Mom immediately dissolves into tears. You've humiliated us in front of everyone we know, Dad hisses. You'll regret this public display. Mom dabs her eyes dramatically after all we've done for you. The sacrifices, the support. I study them both. Really look at them perhaps for the first time. Mom's tears that appear and vanish with strategic precision. Dad's authority that crumbles when challenged. Thank you, I say finally. They look startled. For what? Mom asks cautiously. For showing me exactly who you are. I straighten my grandmother's earrings. Now I know exactly who I need to be. And Dad steps forward. If you walk out that door, you'll what? I ask. Take my car, my inheritance, my wedding dress. You've been taking pieces of me my entire life. There's nothing left for you to claim. I open the door, pausing in the threshold. Enjoy the cake. I pick chocolate because it was the only flavor Jazelle hates. The reception continues without them. James finds me on the dance floor, pulling me close as we sway to our song. Over his shoulder, I watch my grandmother chatting happily with his parents, her diamonds catching the light with every laugh. Some jewelry isn't just decoration. Sometimes it's armor. 6 months later, I stand in the bay window of our Connecticut living room, watching autumn leaves spiral across the lawn. 3 states and 800 miles now separate us from my family. The distance feels like oxygen. More coffee, James asks, padding across the hardwood floors in his weekend socks. Please. I accept the mug, inhaling the rich aroma. I was just thinking how quiet it is. No unexpected visits, no drama, no one borrowing my things. James settles beside me on the window seat. Your mother called again yesterday. I know. I curl my fingers around the warm ceramic. I'll call back next week, on my terms with my boundaries in place. And if they push back, I shrug. Then the conversation ends. They're learning I mean what I say now. James kisses my temple. I'm proud of you. I can breathe here. I whisper. The simple truth of it, still astonishing. Grandmother's silver Buick pulls into our driveway later that afternoon. Her move to the senior living community, 10 minutes from our house, was the best decision we made after the wedding. She settles at our kitchen table while I prepare tea. Her arthritis has worsened, but her eyes remain sharp as ever. I finalized everything with the attorney, she says, sliding a folder across the table. You're the executive now and the primary beneficiary. The papers blur beneath my suddenly damp eyes. Grandma, you don't have to. You were the only one who saw them for what they were. Her weathered hand covers mine. This family has a pattern. Look. She opens a photo album I've never seen before. Pictures of my mother as a child, always stepping aside for her sister. My grandmother, young and resigned, surrendering her dreams to her brother's demands. 4 generations of doormats, she says with surprising frankness. Until you. 2 weeks later, I stand in my new styling studio, downtown, arranging the magazine that features my wedding day look on the reception counter. My phone buzzes with a new client booking a television actress whose Instagram post about my boundary-setting bride style has brought an influx of business. What would make this moment perfect is knowing Jazelle saw the latest issue of Style Quarterly, where her favorite influencer wears my signature accessory collection. I feel a satisfied smile spread across my face as I arrange the display, creating not accommodating building, not surrendering. The package arrives on a Tuesday. No return address, but I recognize my mother's handwriting. Inside lies my childhood diary, its purple cover faded. I flip through pages filled with my adolescent handwriting documenting each borrowed item that never returned. A note falls from between the pages. Perhaps we should have listened. Not an apology, but acknowledgement. It's something. I place the diary on a bookshelf, visible but not central. A chapter closed, not forgotten. Weeks later, Thanksgiving arrives with the scent of rosemary and warmth. Our dining table extends to welcome grandmother and the friends who stood with us through everything. Sarah arranges flowers while James carves the turkey. My phone rings in the study. My parents' number. Do you need to get that? Grandmother asks, knowing exactly who's calling. Tomorrow I decide returning to the table. Today is for joy. Today is for joy. We raise glasses as James offers a toast to chosen family and hard-earned peace. I look around at these people who love without conditions, who support without manipulation, and feel the rightness of this moment. Some things are worth keeping. Some things are worth sharing. And some things, like your self-respect, should never be given away. As we laugh and pass dishes, I wonder what stories others might share about drawing their own lines in the sand, what finally gave them the courage to say enough. Perhaps their journeys echo mine. The phone stops ringing. Tomorrow is soon. Story 2. The weight of the homemade pumpkin pie. steadies my hands as I stand at the threshold of my parents' elegant suburban home. Through the leaded glass panels flanking the front door, I glimpse a kaleidoscope of movement 24 relatives mingling beneath the glow of my mother's prized crystal chandelier. For a moment, I consider turning around, driving back to my apartment, and spending Thanksgiving with a frozen dinner and mindless television. But then my father spots me through the glass. There she is. His voice booms as he swings open the door. Our number cruncher has arrived. I force a smile and step inside, the aroma of sage and roasted turkey enveloping me. My simple dress, a modest knee-length and deep teal, suddenly feels inadequate amid the festive glitter of my mother's home. "Oh, you brought dessert," Mom says, accepting the pie with a perfunctory kiss to my cheek. Her eyes darted past me toward the driveway. "Is that all you brought?" "Just me and the pie," I answer, trying to keep my voice light. "Made from scratch." Dad pats my shoulder. "Skylar works with numbers. Very stable job. Always punctual." The compliment lands like a backhanded slap. Always punctual. Always reliable. Always boring. I've heard variations of this my entire life. Mom's phone chimes, and her face brightens. "That's your sister. She's running a little late." 30 minutes and counting, I murmur, but no one notices my comment as I'm shuffled toward the living room where relatives cluster with drinks and appetizers. Uncle Warren raises his glass. The accountant arrives. "How's life balancing those books, Skylar?" "I'm an internal auditor, actually," I correct, accepting a flute of champagne from a passing tray. "And business is." The sudden hush falls over the room like a heavy curtain. Conversations halt mid-sentence. Heads turn toward the entryway. My sister has arrived. Marissa glides in 30 minutes late and looking like she stepped from a magazine cover. Her camel Max Mara coat, which I recognize from last month's Vogue, drapes perfectly over her shoulders. The Prada handbag dangling from her wrist probably cost more than my monthly rent. "Sorry I'm late," she announces, not sounding sorry at all. "The traffic was absolutely brutal." Mom rushes forward, beaming with the kind of pride she never shows when introducing me. "You look stunning, sweetheart." She strokes the sleeve of Marissa's coat. "Is this new?" Marissa preens. "Just picked it up last weekend. The color called to me." "You work so hard," Mom gushes. "You deserve to treat yourself." I swallow hard and drain my champagne glass in one gulp. The irony burns worse than the bubbles. Marissa hasn't held a steady job in 3 years, bouncing between consulting gigs that somehow never last, but always come with impressive-sounding titles. Dinner is called before I can escape for a refill. I find myself seated between Cousin Lauren and Uncle Warren's new girlfriend, whose name I've already forgotten. Across from me, Marissa holds court, regaling the table with stories of her latest business venture involving social media and luxury brands. "Skylar," Lauren turns to me during a lull, her voice lowered. "I've been meaning to ask you something about my student loans. The interest is killing me, and I wondered if you might have some advice about restructuring." I lean in, genuinely pleased to be useful. "Actually, there's a program I just read about that could help. If your income is below a certain threshold." Not everyone wants to hear about math at dinner, dear. Mom interrupts from 3 seats away, her hearing suddenly selective and sharp. She smiles at Lauren. "Why don't you ask Marissa? She's great with money." The table grows quiet. I stare at my plate fork suspended over untouched turkey. Marissa's laugh tinkles like ice in a crystal glass. "Oh, Skylar's always crunching numbers," she says, swirling her wine. "And always short on cash, it seems." My cheeks burn. "I manage my money just fine." "Do you?" Marissa arches one perfect eyebrow. "Then why are you always asking for loans?" The dining room temperature plummets 10 degrees. 23 pairs of eyes swing between us like spectators at a tennis match. "I've never asked you for money," I say, my voice steady despite the roaring in my ears. "Not once. Not once. Please." Marissa rolls her eyes dramatically. "You should stop begging for money. It's embarrassing." The words slam into me like a physical blow. My ears ring with the audacity of her lie, a complete inversion of our reality. No one speaks. No one defends me. Not even our parents who know exactly which direction the money flows. Speaking of embarrassing, Dad cuts in with forced joviality. Did anyone catch the Seahawks game last Sunday? That fourth quarter was something else. Just like that conversation lurches forward, leaving my humiliation behind like roadkill no one wants to acknowledge. I sit frozen, transported back to when I was 10 years old, emptying my piggy bank to help buy Marissa a dance costume. Your sister needs it more than you do, Mom had said, patting my head. She has the recital coming up. You're the practical one, Skylar. The practical one. The responsible one. The one expected to sacrifice. I excuse myself when dessert is served, slipping away to the powder room. My hands tremble as I lock the door behind me, but my mind has never been clearer. I pull out my phone and open my banking app, staring at the 5 recurring payments to various accounts with Marissa's name attached. 5 years, $52 to $800, an average of 880s every month. Car insurance, credit card minimums, personal loan payments. The evidence of my sister's financial vampirism glows on my screen in neat organized rows, exactly as an auditor would keep them. Without hesitation, I select each payment and cancel them all. One by one, confirmation messages appear. Recurring payment canceled. 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 I splash cold water on my face, blot it dry with one of Mom's decorative guest towels, and return to the dining room. My pumpkin pie sits in the center of the table, slices missing from its perfect crust. There you are, Mom says. We started without you. That's fine. I slide back into my seat, a strange calmness washing over me. I'm not really hungry for dessert anyway. My phone vibrates in my pocket. Confirmation notices from my bank. The cancellations are complete. More coffee. Skylar. Dad offers pot in hand. I smile and extend my cup. Yes, I think I'll have a second helping. For the first time in 5 years, I will not be paying for my sister's life tonight. For the first time in forever, I am choosing myself, and it feels like the first breath after nearly drowning. Numbers don't lie. People do. The next day, the morning light filters through the blinds of my modest one-bedroom apartment as I open my laptop at the small desk wedged between the kitchen and living room. The coffee maker gurgles in the background, its familiar rhythm steadying my hands as I create a new spreadsheet. Payment history. Marissa Cole. I type in the header, my fingers moving with the precision that makes me valuable at work. Each keystroke feels like reclaiming a piece of myself. I pull up my banking records, methodically copying every payment made to my sister over the past 5 years. The spreadsheet grows row by row, an archaeological dig through my financial sacrifices. 3 separate credit card payments each month. The personal loan that was supposed to be just until her commission comes through. Car insurance for the luxury SUV she absolutely needed for client meetings that never materialized. The total appears at the bottom of the column, $52,800. The number sits there accusing me not of generosity, but of gullibility. Nearly $900 every month, more than my own car payment funneled silently to maintain Marissa's carefully constructed facade. I save the document to 3 separate cloud locations. Evidence secured, I allow myself another sip of coffee. My phone vibrates again. The screen lights up with Marissa's name for the 16th time since dawn. I silence it without reading the message, but the notifications keep appearing. Something's wrong with the payments. Call me now. Did you change banks? Payment failed. What did you do? The credit card company called. Fix this. Autopay declined. Call me back. Insufficient funds. What's happening? The messages escalate from confusion to panic to rage, punctuation multiplying with her desperation. 15 calls. Over 30 messages in just 24 hours. I place my phone screen down and continue working. By mid-afternoon, the inevitable happens. My mother's name appears on the screen. I answer on the 3rd ring. Skylar, what's going on? Marissa says you're refusing to help her with something. Her voice carries that familiar note of disappointment as though I'm 10 years old again, selfishly keeping my birthday money instead of sharing. I've been paying her bills for 5 years, Mom. My voice sounds different, steadier than it's ever been when speaking to my mother. She told everyone yesterday at Thanksgiving that I begged her for money, so I stopped. A sharp intake of breath. That's not what she meant. You know how Marissa gets when she's nervous. She exaggerates. It wasn't an exaggeration. It was a lie, and everyone believed her. You're being dramatic. Family helps family. I helped for 5 years. That's $52, $800 of my money. A long pause, then rustling as the phone changes hands. Skyla, it's Dad. His voice sounds older suddenly. What's this about money? Your sister says you've cut her off without warning. Did she tell you why she needs my money every month? She's been having cash flow problems with her business. You know that. Dad, she doesn't have a business. She hasn't had steady work in 3 years. Another long silence. You've changed, he finally says. You used to be kind. The words strike deeper than expected, but clarity rises to meet the pain. I haven't changed, I reply. I just stopped letting people use my kindness as their safety net. The shocked silence that follows tells me they've never considered our family dynamic from this angle. The call ends awkwardly with promises to talk about this later that we all know means hope you come to your senses. I've barely set down my phone when it rings again. Lauren. Hey, just checking in. You left Thanksgiving so suddenly. Her voice trails off fishing for information. It was a difficult evening. I offer carefully. Marissa's been messaging everyone about money problems. Something about you backing out of a loan. A bitter laugh escapes before I can catch it. I didn't back out of a loan. I stopped making her monthly payments after 5 years of paying her bills. Wait, you've been paying her bills, but she has that huge house in Bellevue. The surprise in Lauren's voice confirms what I suspected. No one knew. For years, Marissa had maintained her image of success while secretly draining my accounts. How much are we talking about? Lauren asks. $52, $800. Holy Skyla. That's, she pauses. No wonder you always turn down family trips. A lump forms in my throat. All those years of excuses about work commitments, saving for a house, needing to be available for emergencies, when the truth was simpler and more painful. I couldn't afford both Marissa's lifestyle and my own existence in the same frame. After Lauren hangs up, promising discretion, I know she won't maintain my phone pings with a text from cousin Michael. About time, someone stood up to the golden child. The truth is spreading through the family now, reframing 5 years of gatherings where Marissa arrived in designer clothes while I wore the same black dress with different accessories. Where she brought expensive wines while I baked from scratch because it was cheaper. Where she talked about exclusive resorts while I quietly mentioned staycations. I closed the spreadsheet and shut my laptop. The documentation is complete. The payments are canceled. The truth is loose in the wild. For the first time in 5 years, all $880 of my monthly Marissa payment will stay in my own account. The thought doesn't bring the satisfaction I expected, just a hollow kind of relief. Like removing a splinter that's been in so long you've built your movements around avoiding the pain. I glance at my phone where the notification count has climbed to 43. Tomorrow will bring more calls, more guilt, more pressure. But tonight, the numbers are clear. And numbers, unlike sisters, don't lie. The family group chat notification lights up my phone at 6:47 a.m. the next morning. I squint at the screen still warm under my comforter and immediately wish I hadn't looked. Please keep Skyla in your prayers during this difficult time. Marissa's message reads, mental health struggles can manifest in many ways, including financial jealousy and irrational behavior. I stare at the ceiling, counting the gentle popcorn ridges to keep from hurling my phone across the room. Within seconds, responses flood in. Oh no. What happened? Sending love, Skyla. We're here for you. Should we organize a care package? Nobody asks what prompted this announcement. Nobody questions its validity. My sister's word is gospel, and I am suddenly cast as the unstable family member having a breakdown. My mother calls within minutes. Skyla Marie Thompson. Her voice carries that particular tone reserved for grave disappointments. You need to fix this before Thanksgiving is completely ruined. Fix what exactly, I ask, sliding my feet into slippers, padding toward my kitchen to start coffee. Don't play dumb. Marissa is devastated. Your father can barely look at the phone when she texts about you. She pauses. We raised you better than this. The coffee maker gurgles as I measure grounds with practiced precision. Did you ask Marissa exactly what I've done? She showed me the bank notifications. All those payments suddenly canceled. Mother's voice drops to an accusatory whisper. She has Skyla. Responsibilities. Ruth, so do I. The words emerge stronger than I intended. This isn't like you, she continues. The daughter I raised would never abandon her sister. I watch coffee drip steadily into the pot, black and clarifying. The daughter you raised has been paying Marissa's bills for 5 years while she told everyone I begged her for money. Silence stretches between us, taut as a wire. I'm going to be late for work, I interrupt an unprecedented act of rebellion. Give Dad my love. I end the call before she can respond and open Facebook to find Marissa's latest performance. A tastefully filtered photo of her staring pensively out a window captioned, "Heartbroken when family members struggle with jealousy. Praying for healing during this difficult time." 27. Sympathetic comments already. I close the app without responding and finish getting ready for work. When I arrive at the office, something unexpected happens. I work better than I have in months. Client documentation flows through my review process with unusual efficiency. Spreadsheets that normally require double-checking seem crystal clear on first pass. You seem more focused lately. My manager comments during our afternoon check-in. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. What I'm doing is keeping an extra $800 a month in my bank account and sleeping through the night for the first time in years. That evening, I purchased a new desk for my home office. A solid oak piece I've been eyeing for months, but could never justify while supporting Marissa's lifestyle. As I enter my credit card information, I experience none of the usual anxiety about spending on myself. No mental calculations about how this purchase might affect my ability to cover Marissa's car insurance payment or minimum credit card payments. I realize I've been living below my means, not from frugality or wise financial planning, but to fund my sister's excess. The revelation settles in my stomach like a stone. The true test of my newfound resolve arrives 3 days later when Marissa appears unannounced in my office building lobby. I spot her through the glass doors as I return from lunch, designer sunglasses perched above perfect makeup, strategically disheveled hair, and what appears to be a carefully selected outfit that somehow communicates both wealthy casualness and distress. How could you abandon me like this? She demands loudly the moment I approach, tears streaming down her cheeks without disturbing her mascara. After everything I've done for you. Heads turn throughout the lobby. My coworkers slow their pace, pretending not to eavesdrop while clearly absorbing every word. I keep my voice measured and low. This isn't the place to discuss your financial problems, Marissa. Financial problems. She laughs, the sound high and brittle. You're the one who's always needed my help. And now, when I need you just temporarily, you cut me off completely. A security guard glances our way, concerned by the rising volume. Call me when you're ready to talk about repayment plans, I say quietly. Repayment. The word hangs between us like a grenade with its pin removed. Her tears vanish instantly. The transformation would be impressive if I hadn't seen it countless times before the immediate shift from wounded victim to cold calculation when manipulation fails. This isn't over. She hisses, voice suddenly steady. She turns sharply, stiletto heels clicking against marble as she exits through revolving doors. I watch her go, feeling oddly calm in the aftermath of what should have been a devastating support. Lauren arrives at my apartment door bearing lunch from my favorite deli and a sympathetic smile. You okay? She asks, unpacking sandwiches and containers of soup at my small dining table. Everyone's talking about what happened. What version are they discussing, I ask, pulling plates from my cabinet. Lauren shakes her head. The real story is getting out. Michael called me after talking to your dad. Is it true Marissa owes you over $50, $1,000, $52, $800? I confirm. But her total debt is closer to $96,000 as far as I can tell. Lauren's sandwich halts midway to her mouth. 96,000. How is that possible? They live in that beautiful house in Bellevue. Mortgage to the limit, I reply. Plus 3 maxed credit cards, 2 personal loans, and the car lease that's 3 months behind. I've been covering the minimum payments for years. She was using you this whole time. Lauren's voice turns hard with anger, all while acting like the successful one. My phone buzzes with a notification. The younger cousins have created a new group chat named Team Skyla without Marissa or my parents included. I'm still absorbing this development when my phone rings with an unfamiliar number. I almost decline until Lauren glances at the screen. That's Evan's cell, she says, eyes widening. Marissa's husband. I accept the call, putting it on speaker. Skyla Evans' voice sounds strained. We need to talk. I'm listening, I say. I had no idea about any of this, he begins. She hid everything. The payments, the debt, all of it. All of it. The raw honesty in his voice catches me off guard. Thank you for helping her quietly all these years. He continues. I thought we were stable, but we've been living beyond our means to keep up appearances with the neighbors. I meet Lauren's astonished gaze across the table. We're not as financially secure as everyone believes, Evan confesses. Not even close. A strange weightlessness settles over me. For years I believed I was the only one who saw Marissa clearly. Now others are beginning to glimpse behind the curtain. I hope you can help her find better ways to cope, I say finally. Lauren squeezes my hand across the table as the call ends. For the first time in years, I'm not alone in my understanding of Marissa. And for the first time in my life, I'm not expected to be the one who fixes everything. That night, the knock at my apartment door comes at 11:42 p.m. 3 thunderous blows that rattle the hinges. I know who it is before I even peer through the peephole. Marissa stands in the harsh hallway light, arms wrapped around herself. Her hair hangs limp around her face, not a trace of makeup visible. She wears faded jeans and a plain cotton t-shirt, clothes I've never seen on her before. I open the door but block the entrance with my body. It's nearly midnight. Please, she whispers, her voice cracking. I'm falling apart, Sky. Evan knows everything. For a moment, I see the little girl who used to crawl into my bed during thunderstorms, seeking comfort from her practical sister, who was never afraid of the noise. But then I remember the Thanksgiving table, her voice dripping with false concern. You should stop begging for money. It's embarrassing. Still, I step aside. Come in. She rushes past me, pacing my living room like a caged animal the credit card companies keep calling. I've blocked 8 different numbers, but they just use new ones. And the BMW her voice catches. They're repossessing it next week. I offer her water in a plain glass tumbler. She eyes it briefly, clearly hoping for wine. Mom and Dad are heartbroken. She continues accepting the water but not drinking it. You're tearing the family apart with this vendetta. I sit on my couch watching her theatrics with newfound clarity. If I lose everything, it's on you, she says, her voice hardening. Is that what you want? To see me fail? I wait until her monologue runs out of steam, until the dramatic pauses designed to prompt my reassurances grow uncomfortable. When she finally falls silent, I speak. I've helped you for 5 years, Marissa. She sniffs, nodding eagerly. And I'm so grateful. That's why I don't understand why you'd stop now when I need you most. I let a calculated pause stretch between us. That's $52, $800, I say evenly. I have records of every payment. Her face shifts from vulnerable pleading to defensive anger in an instant. It wasn't that much. You're exaggerating to make me look bad. Without a word, I open my laptop on the coffee table between us. The screen illuminates with a spreadsheet, each row a payment, each column a category. Dates, amounts, account numbers. Notes documenting her calls. Her excuses, her promises to pay me back next month for sure this time. 5 years of financial hemorrhaging, meticulously documented in the language I know best, numbers that don't lie. She stumbles over her words. You're doing this to make yourself look better. You always need to be the perfect one. When I don't respond, she switches tactics. You know I have expenses you don't. The country club fees alone. She stops herself realizing how this sounds. You make so much more than me, she tries instead, voice rising. You don't understand what it's like to struggle. I make $185,000 a year, I say quietly. Her eyes widen slightly. She clearly assumed much less. I live in this one-bedroom apartment so I could afford to pay your bills. The silence that follows feels like the first honest moment we've shared in years. Her mouth opens and closes, searching for another angle. But we're sisters, she finally says, her voice small. Family helps family. I stand and walk to the door, opening it once more. You had 5 years, Marissa. I paid $52,000 of your debt. That's enough. She gathers her pursed shoulders, stiff with indignation. At the threshold, she turns eyes narrowed. You're heartless, she hisses. You'll regret this. No. I meet her gaze steadily. You should regret confusing someone's compassion with obligation. The door closes between us with a soft click. 2 hours later, my mother called. I can hear the tension in her voice, the effort to maintain composure. Marissa says you refuse to help. She's going through so much right now. Did she tell you how much I've already helped her, I ask. She mentioned some small loans Mom hedges. $52,000 over 5 years isn't small, Mom. Her sharp intake of breath tells me more than words could. Dad's voice suddenly replaces hers. 52,000. That can't be right. I can email you the documentation. I say, my finger already hovering over the send button on an email prepared days ago. Why would you keep giving her money all this time if she wasn't being honest? I finish for him. Because she's family. And you taught me that family helps family no matter what. The stunned silence on the other end feels like vindication and heartbreak simultaneously. Later that night, texts begin appearing on my phone. Uncle Warren, your sister is devastated. Where's your compassion? Aunt Patricia, the family forgives, period. This cold shoulder is beneath you. But there are others. Cousin Michael. About damn time someone stood up to her. Call if you need to talk. Lauren just heard the real story. We're all behind you. Mom and Dad, too. My phone pings with a notification from our extended family group chat. I brace myself for another barrage of guilt and pressure, but instead find an unexpected message from Evan. Thank you all for your concern. Marissa and I are working through some financial difficulties that have come to light. We ask for your understanding during this time. And Skyla, thank you for your past support. It wasn't acknowledged properly. The traditional family hierarchy, with Marissa at its glowing center and me orbiting as the reliable, practical moon, has begun to fracture. Thanksgiving dinner has become the dividing line in our family history before the truth and after. My father calls back, his voice subdued. I've been looking at these statements you sent. All these years you've been, he trails off, unable to complete the thought that his golden child has been lying while his practical one has been sacrificing. We should talk. He finally says, all of us. Maybe Sunday dinner, not yet. I answer, surprising myself with the boundary. I need some time. Of course, he says quickly, too quickly. Whatever you need. The words sound strange coming from him, from anyone in my family, really. Whatever I need has never been the priority before. I curl up on my couch, wrapped in the quilt my grandmother made, the one Marissa always said was too old-fashioned for her taste. My apartment feels different tonight, not larger or more luxurious, but somehow more mine. For the first time in 5 years, the weight of secrecy and obligation has lifted. The money that funded Marissa's carefully curated life will now fund my authentic one. On my coffee table, the spreadsheet still glows on my laptop screen. 5 years of payments, each one a brick in the wall between who I was and who I'm becoming. I close the laptop and the room falls into darkness except for the gentle city light filtering through my blinds. Tomorrow will bring more calls, more family members taking sides, more pressure to return to my familiar role. But tonight, in the quiet aftermath of finally speaking my truth, I find something unexpected: peace. The text on Evan's message glows ominously on my phone screen a week later. Family meeting our house tomorrow at 2:00. Just parents, you, and a few others. This needs to end. I stare at the words for a full minute, my stomach tightening. In the week since I confronted Marissa in my apartment, the family has fractured into opposing camps. Mother still calls daily with tearful pleas. Father has retreated into uncharacteristic silence. Cousins message their support or condemnation, depending on which version of events they believe. What surprises me is Evan's sudden involvement. In 6 years of marriage to my sister, he's always remained pleasantly detached from family drama. When I arrive at their home, notably smaller than what Mother had led everyone to believe, Evan opens the door before I knock. His normally easygoing expression is replaced by something harder, more determined. "Thank you for coming," he says, voice low. "This won't be easy." The living room feels like a courtroom awaiting trial. Mother and father sit stiffly on matching armchairs. Uncle Warren occupies one end of the sofa beside Aunt Patricia and grandmother, whose presence signals the gravity of the situation. Marissa is nowhere in sight. "Where do I begin? She'll join us shortly." Evan interrupts, gesturing toward the empty chair clearly positioned as the focal point. "Please sit." I choose the corner of the sofa instead, maintaining distance from the emotional blast zone. The air feels charged with unspoken accusations. Mother attempts a weak smile. "This is unnecessary. Family disagreements should stay private." "Not this one," Evan says, his voice firm as he places a thick manila folder on the coffee table. "Not anymore." The sound of a door closing echoes from the hallway. Marissa enters, her face stripped of makeup, wearing plain jeans and a beige sweater I've never seen before. No designer labels, no statement jewelry. Her eyes are red-rimmed, but dry. "Sit down, Marissa," Evan says without looking at her. She perches on the edge of the empty chair, hands folded tightly in her lap. Evan stands before us, shoulders squared. "I've asked you here because it's time everyone understood exactly what's been happening." He opens the folder. Over the past years, Marissa has accumulated personal debt, totaling $96,500. Mother gasps. Father's head snaps up. "That includes the $52,800 that Skyla has been paying in secret for 5 years, Evan continues. "The money that Marissa told me came from a trust fund from grandmother." Grandmother's sharp intake of breath cuts through the room. "I never set up any such thing." "I know that now." Evan spreads credit card statements across the table. These show regular purchases from Nordstrom, Saks, Neiman Marcus designer clothes, jewelry, handbags. Things to maintain the appearance of success while we were quietly drowning. Father leans forward, studying the papers with growing disbelief. "This doesn't sound like the daughter we raised." "I needed those things," Marissa whispers. "Everyone expected me to be successful." Mother reaches toward her. "Sweetheart, is this all true?" The question hangs in the air, the first time in 30 years I've heard Mother question Marissa's version of events. Marissa's careful composure crumbles. Tears spill down her cheeks. "I just wanted everyone to be proud of me." "By lying, by stealing from your sister." Aunt Patricia's voice cuts like a blade. "I was going to pay her back." Marissa protests weakly. "When?" Evan asks. "With what money?" "You haven't held a steady job in 3 years." The silence that follows feels like a physical weight. I watch my family absorb the reality they've been denying for years. Evan straightens. "Things will change starting today. We're selling the Range Rover, the Maldives vacation is canceled. Marissa starts working 40 hours weekly at Belinda's boutique next Monday, and we begin financial counseling on Thursday." Mother's face paled. "But that's so extreme." "It's necessary," Evan replies, "and long overdue." Father turns to me, his eyes clouded with something I've rarely seen: genuine regret. "We should have seen it sooner." His voice drops to a near whisper. "I'm sorry, Skyla." The words I've waited decades to hear land softly without the satisfaction I'd imagined. I nod once, accepting, but not absolved. For the first time in my memory, I sit in a family crisis without being expected to fix it. I am neither savior nor villain, simply present. The strange liberation of this moment catches in my throat. The next 6 months unfold in careful, measured steps. Family gossip shifts as the full story emerges. Marissa works retail after years of leisure, returning home with aching feet and humbled eyes. Evan oversees their finances with spreadsheets that echo my own meticulous records. When Mother calls now, her voice carries a new hesitancy, as though she's learning to navigate unfamiliar terrain. Father asks about my investment strategies, listening with genuine interest. One Thursday morning in May, my phone pings with a banking notification. Deposit $600. A text message follows. It'll take years, but I'll pay you back. M. I stare at the screen, remembering the Thanksgiving table, where she publicly accused me of begging the powder room, where I finally found my boundaries. The spreadsheet documents 5 years of silent sacrifice. My fingers hover over the keyboard. A dozen responses form and dissolve in my mind. In the end, I type just 2 words. Received. Thank you. Not forgiveness, not yet, but perhaps a door left slightly open in a wall I had every right to build. The weight of the pumpkin-scented candles steadies my hands as I stand at the threshold of Evan and Marissa's downsized Tudor-style home. Through the leaded glass panels flanking the front door, I glimpse modest Thanksgiving decorations, a far cry from the opulent displays at our parents' home last year. For a moment, I consider turning around, driving back to my apartment, and spending the holiday alone with a good book. But then I spot my father through the glass, and our eyes meet. 1 year has transformed more than just my living space. My apartment now boasts a plush sectional couch in rich burgundy, replacing the threadbare hand-me-down I'd tolerated for years. My home office gleams with a proper desk instead of the wobbly card table where I'd managed my finances and Marissa's for half a decade. The $808 monthly payment that once disappeared into my sister's bottomless needs now flows into an investment account showing 12% growth. Dad opens the door before I can knock. There she is, he says, but his voice lacks the booming quality I remember from childhood. Instead, there's something I've never heard before: respect. Happy Thanksgiving. I step inside, breathing in the aroma of roasting turkey. My simple dress, a knee-length in deep forest green, feels perfectly adequate for this gathering. Oh, you're right on time, Mom says, kissing my cheek without the usual perfunctory feel. Marissa's just about to serve. The dining room table set, simply with white plates and cloth napkins, hosts only 8 place settings instead of last year's 24. No crystal chandelier hangs overhead. Just a modest pendant light illuminating faces I now recognize as family rather than audience. Marissa emerges from the kitchen wearing jeans and a cream-colored sweater. No designer labels visible, no statement, jewelry catching the light. Her hair pulled back in a simple ponytail. She carries a platter of sliced turkey with steady hands. Everything looks wonderful, I say, meaning it. Marissa's smile contains something new: humility. Thanks for coming. When everyone is seated, Evan suggests a toast. All eyes turn to him, but he nods to Marissa, who rises slowly. She lifts her water glass. To a family who tells us the truth, even when it hurts. My throat tightens unexpectedly. I raise my glass in acknowledgement, not yet ready for complete reconciliation, but accepting this honest new beginning. Throughout, dinner conversation flows without the usual facades. Uncle Warren discusses his recent heart surgery without minimizing its impact. Lauren shares her promotion without downplaying its importance. Parents admit their struggles with retirement planning without pretending everything is perfect. No one performs, no one competes. We simply exist together in truth. Later, back in my apartment, I open my laptop out of habit, but I no longer check the spreadsheet daily. 12 payments have arrived consistently from Marissa, each exactly on time. I scroll through my phone, deleting old pleading messages from her that I'd saved as evidence. They're no longer necessary armor against gaslighting. The truth has emerged and settled like dust after a storm. Opening my journal, I write 52,100. If she were a stranger, I would have stopped years ago, but she was my sister. Or at least I thought she was. I pause, consider what has changed. The monthly deposits from Marissa aren't just financial restitution. They're acknowledgement that my boundaries matter, that my sacrifice deserves recognition. My worth was never tied to family approval, though it took me 30 years to understand this. Boundaries aren't cruelty, but self-respect. I close the journal feeling neither triumph nor regret, just clarity. Sometimes kindness means knowing when to stop. You can't save someone who keeps sinking, especially when they're the ones pulling you under. The question remains hanging in the evening air of my quiet apartment. If faced with the same situation, what would you have done? Cut them off like I did. Give one more chance because they're family. Take legal action to recover what was lost. Where do you draw the line between helping and being used?